These are undeniable historical facts related to the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
All right, let's see it.
Now, if you watch this video and you don't believe that Jesus rose from the dead, that's a you problem. It's not an evidence problem.
No doubt, no doubt.
This is evidence that is considered virtually undeniable, even to skeptics. To qualify, the facts need to be confirmed by several strong and independent arguments, and they must be recognized as historical by the vast majority of scholars who specialize in a relevant field. These are facts that liberal and even atheist scholars accept as historical. The facts come not only from the Bible, but from numerous non-biblical sources. Some of these sources are even hostile to Christianity.
So this sounds an awful lot like Gary Habermas's minimal facts argument, which has been articulated most thoroughly in his recent book on the Resurrection, Volume 1, Evidences. And the argument proceeds in two parts. In the first part, Habermas identifies 6 claims about Jesus' death and ostensible resurrection that he insists are accepted as historical by the overwhelming majority of scholars, and he requires around 90% or more agreement among scholars who have published on this issue to consider something one of those 6 minimal facts. And the second part of the argument is that the best explanation for the historicity of all 6 of these facts is that Jesus actually resurrected. And there are problems with both parts of this argument, and I won't be able to get into all of them. I'll address some of them, but if you would like a better discussion, I would highly recommend Dale Allison's recent book on the resurrection. But this content creator seems to me to be misunderstanding and misrepresenting the argument, as well as the certainty that the argument provides. But let's see what they have to say.
Jesus Christ was crucified and died on the cross. Undeniable historical fact.
So this is absolutely not an undeniable historical fact. This is an event that the overwhelming majority of scholars agree most likely happened, but that does not render it undeniable. We would need to have a lot more evidence than we have in order to insist this is an undeniable historical fact.
His tomb was discovered empty by a group of his female followers. Undeniable historical fact.
So this is also not remotely an undeniable historical fact. In fact, it's even less likely than the previous historical fact. It's not even one of Habermas's 6 minimal facts, because Habermas says not enough scholars agree that this likely happened. He says only about 75% of scholars agree with this. That does not meet his minimum threshold of around 90% agreement for inclusion in the minimal facts. And there are an awful lot of arguments against the empty tomb. While some scholars think that those arguments have been adequately responded to, other scholars say not so much, which is one of the reasons that Habermas does not include it in his minimal facts.
Various individuals and groups witnessed what they believed were appearances of the risen Jesus. Undeniable historical fact.
Again, not an undeniable historical fact.
His original disciples suddenly and sincerely became convinced that Jesus Christ had risen from the dead. Undeniable historical fact. They were willing to die for the belief that Jesus had indeed risen from the dead. Undeniable historical fact. Some of the least likely people were converted after reporting appearances of the risen Jesus. This includes Saul of Tarsus and James, the unbelieving brother of Jesus. Undeniable historical fact. Skeptics have no good answer for the facts. So who do you say that he is?
So once again, none of these are undeniable historical facts. These aren't even accurate articulations of Habermas's minimal facts. And this creator has also entirely skipped the second part of the argument, which is the argument that the resurrection is the most likely explanation for the historicity of the minimal facts. And it's not. You can't even quantify the likelihood of the resurrection, much less compare it to the likelihood of other explanations, because we can document occurrences of other explanations. For instance, post-bereavement hallucinatory experiences, storytelling about mass hallucinations. There are all kinds of things that we have actually studied at length and can show are not only plausible, but are actually quite common. On the other hand, we have absolutely no data that help us determine the likelihood of the resurrection, because we can't ever point to it ever happening. So when you're comparing the likelihood of things for which we have a great deal of scientific data against something for which we have absolutely zero scientific data, the thing that we can never show actually happened is never going to be more likely then the things that we can demonstrate happen quite frequently. So the entire argument falls apart once you get outside of confirmation bias and dogmatism. And this articulation of it is misrepresentative, is wildly misguided, and is basically just arguing from assertion. And the fit for this video has been The Punisher.